Trustee Morales, will you please convene the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel?
Thank you, Chair Eisen. Will the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel please come to order? And there are 12 speakers, so we'll begin with them. And so we'll begin with, I'm naming them 3 at a time, and you have 2 minutes each. So first, Pat Gant, Rocky Sanchez, and Neil Jacqueline. Please step forward.
Good morning, Pat Gant, President, CSUEU. I believe in this committee we're speaking here today because it mostly parallels what may be collective bargaining for the rank and file. We do not begrudge any management or executive employee their salary or their work. However, looking at the changed compensation policy or philosophy, there only appears to be the exemption or removing the exemption of using state or foundation funds for presidents. One would actually hope that that policy or philosophy would be actually extended in each one of the salary articles of all the unions, because somehow between the bargaining table and your compensation policy or philosophy, there's a disconnect. Even though we have proposed a preamble that talks about harmonious labor relations, which could lead to a compensation policy or philosophy, it's been rejected. We really, really think that you need to have a consistent policy that applies to everyone, including the rank and file, and keep all the salaries competitive to reward and encourage all employees in the CSU. The number of years of service, the speakers from the CSU, EU, these last couple of days are over 300 years. 300 years of service to the CSU institution. Those numbers alone are a lot more than the number of years of service of the trustees. Think about it.
Good morning, Chancellor White, Board of Trustees, campus presidents, brothers and sisters, and guests. I am Rocky Sanchez, CSUEU Vice President for Representation, and I am one of the employees that has 25 years at Cal Poly Pomona. That's part of the 300 years. I'm here to address the Committee on University Faculty Personnel and to, again, bring up the fact that it has now been 9 months since CSUEU and CSU has been bargaining, and apparently your chief negotiator has finished with his script he was given and is waiting for further directions from you, the board. In the last contract cycle, back in September of 2014, at a board of trustees, we were ready to ratify our contract. And here we are, bargaining still. We would be ready to ratify our contract. Remember, it's not just CSUEU's contract, but your contract as well. Management's contract, just like it is rank and file. And here we are still in negotiations. If our contract negotiations had been handled in the same manner, where your bargaining team has not stalled, has been willing to provide information that we requested, that we are legally entitled to, we would be much further along. Instead, we have had to file an unfair labor practice in order to continue bargaining. Why the stalling? Why the refusal to provide information that we are entitled to? Why the mistreatment? Why the disrespect? Bargaining will continue in spite of all of this, and we will continue to inform our members how all of you actually see them as second-class employees.
Good morning, Chancellor White, Board of Trustees, and guests. My name's Neil Jacqueline, Vice President for Organizing. I'm an instructional support technician in biology at Stanislaus. I want to thank you for taking the time and attention to listen to my comments on behalf of California State Employees Union. I'm asking for your help in the capacity that you can help. We have been working since January trying to bargain a reasonable contract. As part of the bargaining process, a market salary adjustment was produced by CSU that showed just how far below market salary each classification of employees are being paid. Also, there are other pay inequities like compression and inversion within the classifications that need to be addressed. So the CSU and the CSUEU acknowledge that there are compensation issues and they need to be addressed. The last offer for a general salary increase to CSUEU was at a lower percent than what faculty and management are receiving this year. How will a lower GSI than faculty and management help address the compensation issue? Does this make sense to you? I'm asking you to ask yourself, what can I do to help fix this compensation issue in your role as a campus president, as a trustee, as a vice chancellor, as a chancellor? Thank you.
The next speakers are Catherine Hutchinson, Tessie Reese, and Mike Chavez. 2 minutes each.
Good morning, all. My name is Michael Chavez, and I'm here representing CSU EU as the chair of Unit 5. I'm an 18-year dedicated employee of Stan State. I am fortunate to have 4 sons and 7 beautiful grandchildren. Hopefully, one day they'll be able to attend this great institution of higher learning. I personally have a hard time imagining how this board has allowed your negotiating team to dictate different percentages for salary for different units. I mean, are we not all employees worth the same raises? Are we not all doing our jobs? Are we not all equal? I realize there are different pay scales for different classifications or jobs, but how can you justify offering different salary percentages? What is the reasoning just besides that you can? Is this how you treat your employees? Is this board really listening to our speeches? Are you hearing us? We are not just numbers. We are just not numbers to you. We are all your employees, a part of the CSU family. Treat us as such. As Chancellor White once said, we are better than this. Think about this. When you all go to the gas pumps, you fill up your tanks. We, on the other hand, we could only afford $10 or $20 just to get by to where we're going. Many of our members live paycheck to paycheck, many having 2 or 3 jobs just to survive, many living off credit cards to get by. We need a fair and decent contract that'll provide us movement through our ranges, and where all our members are respected and valued. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rosa Jones from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. We're reordering our speaking order. And wanted to just say good morning to the trustees and all of you guests, especially Trustee Simon, Trustee Morales, Trustee Abrego. I know you're hearing us. I'm hoping the rest of you will now take the time to listen to us after 9 months of bargaining. I attended the MPP audit and was very disappointed that Chancellor White nor any of the 23 presidents made it a priority to be there. Based on the audit results, lack of oversight and transparency has produced alarming trends. CSU has no data to support how increasing management positions have helped our students. CSU cannot justify how its managers received raises without any performance evaluations. Meanwhile, frontline Unit 7 members, like I, Average earnings per month is $3,166. A 2% raise would mean $63, maybe a tank of gas. We are here to address the Board of Trustees and ask you that you direct your bargaining team to finalize the remaining economic items that will bring CSU members a fair and decent contract. A fair and decent contract means CSU support staff are not treated as second citizens. A fair and decent contract means addressing the inversion suffered by many of us long-term employees. A fair and decent contract means not outsourcing our jobs. A fair and decent contract means in-range progressions where employees can move through the salary ranges. Now that you're in the process of discussing a compensation plan for your executives, consider the consequences when you select to fund only a selected few. Restore the salary step increases for the CSU support staff that other state employees have. We are asking for a fair and decent contract. Thank you.
Thank you. So is Catherine Hutchinson and Tessie Reese gonna speak? No?
Tessie's going to speak after Ricardo and Rich McGee, and Sergio is not speaking, or Catherine.
I'm Ricardo Ook, CSUEU Vice Chair, Unit 9. I started my 33rd year of continuous service at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I'm addressing you here because the session on the Committee for Collective Bargaining is in closed session. Thanks to the CSU Legislative Committee for spearheading a legislative inquiry which brought to light a few insights. The CSU System-Wide Investment Fund, as of June 30th, 2017, had a balance of $3.7 billion. The earnings from this SWIFT account earned $306.4 million over the past 10 years. The unrestricted funds designated for CSU operations is $1.877 billion. I am seeking to encourage or shame this board to turn over some of these funds to all of our union represented employees in terms of salary increases and continued benefits. The offer from the CSU bargaining team is a 2% the first year and 2.5% for the next 2 subsequent years, which is not enough to keep up with current yearly inflation as the cost of living continues to go up. Moreover, your chief negotiator told us at the bargaining table that the parking fund is losing, and that is why he proposed a $3 a month increase for the next 3 years to our parking fees. Again, thanks to the legislative audit, it is known that the current parking fund has $1.9.5 million dedicated just to parking operations. In light of this information, I don't see how you expect our membership to ratify the current compensation article as it stands today. As of today, the CSU contract extension comes to an end, and currently there are no proposed future bargaining dates scheduled. I heard yesterday, to add a little bit more, that student fees are going to continue to go up for the next several years, and that's a shame. Thank you.
Rich McGee, Chair of Bargaining Unit 9. For the last, I don't know how many years, we've heard executive compensation increases, and yes, you deserve it. The presidents are all doing a fine and wonderful job, and I'm very pleased to say that. But likewise, I can also guarantee you that not one student attends any CSU campus because you happen to be their president. But yet let those bathrooms go unclean. Let that grass go uncut. The trash cans not be dumped. The students not register. I guarantee you it would be on our desks, on our laps, and our fault. Please invest in your biological infrastructure, the staff, the people that keep the lights on. We need us, you need us, and the students depend on us. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Tessie Reese, Unit 2 Chair from San Diego State. And I'm going to be the last speaker for CSUEU. So over the last 2 days, you've heard from many speakers from our organization promoting their issues and priorities. From CSUEU, we hope that you have heard loud and clear we are overdue for a fair and just contract. But we also hope that you heard us when we called for stronger accountability and transparency for management. We hope you have heard us say we truly care about the CSU and are committed to making sure it remains a high-quality institution. That's why our members are actively engaged with state legislators to promote smart, sensible legislation such as AB 848 and SB 318 to place restrictions on the CSU and UC from outsourcing middle-class jobs. We've shown that we have the attention and support of the state legislators in Sacramento, and we want you to know we'll keep fighting for a fair contract that lists all of the CSU community so that we can continue to providing essential services for the next generation of students in California. I'd like to end with, we are dedicated, loyal, passionate, caring employees who on a day-to-day basis show up on your campuses and make them shine. Every organization that is here, including the campus presidents, show up every day and do the job of the CSU. Show the value that you think in us by giving us a fair and sensible and reasonable contract. And please don't refer to us as the elephant in the room. Refer to us as the passionate, awesome, great people that show up every day in your organization. Thank you.
I have listed here 3 other speakers: Carolyn Duckett, Ricardo Uc, and Hector Fernandez. Are they here? All right. Okay, well, thank you all for your comments. Oh, okay.
Hello, Presidents, Chancellor White, and trustees. I'm Hector Fernandez, Business Manager for SETC, representing the hardworking, skilled trades workers of the CSU. I'm speaking to you today due to the fact that we did not have opening comments or time during collective bargaining. I found this time fitting as the board is about to authorize increases for the CSU executives of 2.5%. Now, I believe these increases are well-deserved, just as every faculty and staff deserves fair wages working for the CSU. SETC is currently in bargaining for wages and benefits. As of today, we are the only unit in the CSU that is working with the same number of staff pre-recession. Every other unit in the CSU has increased about 10% in staffing post-recession. Yet, every Board of Trustees meeting, we are voting on new buildings, remodels, or retrofits, which have increased our workloads. We are covering more square footage with increased workloads and still dealing with the $2.6 billion in deferred maintenance on our campuses. The majority of our dedicated members work 6 days a week to keep these campuses open. Sorry, 6 days a week. They take pride in providing the best facilities they can for the students while the management continues to decrease staff, pay lower wages, and contract out our work. Most days, our members debate with the option to leave the CSU for higher wages by outside agencies. Many are loyal employees and stay to help to contribute to the mission of the CSU. I thank every one of them today as I truly respect what value each and every one bring to the campuses they work on. I have said it before and will continue to remind every person in this room. My members play a huge part in this meeting. From having the lights on, the doors open, cool air blowing, these meetings would feel very different if one or all did not happen. In closing, I want to thank every trustee in this room for helping my unit during this round of bargaining. By approving this compensation package today, you have just increased what my members will expect from the CSU as a minimum offer. Considering it was more than our initial proposal from the CSU, we are feeling pretty good about heading back into bargaining next week. Thank you.
Thank you all for your comments. Today, the committee has 1 consent item and 3 action items. The consent item in today's agenda are the minutes from the July 2017 meetings. Are there any objections to the approval of those minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. There are 3 items for discussion today. Item 1 is an action item on the 10-year retiree health and dental benefits vesting for new non-represented employees. Vice Chancellor Bard will present the item.
Thank you, Chair Morales. An information item was presented to the Board of Trustees at the July meeting recommending approval of a 10-year retiree health and dental vesting for new non-represented employees. Senate Bill 85, signed by the Governor in June of 2017, made statutory changes necessary to implement post-secondary education-related provisions of the Budget Act of 2017. These statutory changes authorize that on or after July 1st, 2017, the trustees can adopt by action a new 10-year vesting period for retiree health and dental benefits for non-represented employees who are new to the CSU and become new CalPERS members. This action item is being presented today for your approval to implement the 10-year vesting period for retiree health and dental benefits to new non-represented employees effective July 1st, 2018. Trustee Morales, that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, the 10-year retiree health and dental benefits vesting for new non-represented employees is an action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel. And the members are, who can vote, are Campbell, Furstenberg, and Farrar. Only committee members can vote. May I have a motion to approve this? Okay, first and second. All those who please say aye. Opposed? Okay, the item passes. Agenda item 2 is an action item on compensation for executives. Chair Eisen will begin, followed by Chancellor White, and will act on behalf of the Committee on Audit. Chair Eisen?
Thank you, Trustee Morales. I come before this committee to recommend a compensation increase for the Chancellor of the California State University System. Today you will hear recommendations for a 2.5% increase for our presidents and our system executives. I fully support these increases. Today I am recommending a similar increase of 2.5% for Chancellor White effective July 1, 2017, as noted in the materials before you. Additionally, I'm recommending that the Chancellor's supplemental pay be rolled into his base pay beginning in January of 2018. The same will be recommended for those presidents currently receiving supplemental pay. This action is in support of the board's policy that eliminated the use of foundation dollars to pay for a president's salary. To members of the committee and full board, I ask for your approval of the salary increase for Chancellor White. I will be happy to address any questions or comments regarding my recommendation. Thank you. John?
Madam Chair, did you want to go into any detail on the establishment of the 2.5, why that number versus 3 or 5 or 7 or 1? Is there?
Could you, John?
Am I not
sorry.
loud enough? Hugo and I have been spending time together, and he's been training me, and hopefully that'll be good in the future. Now, I was just curious. I'm not opposed to what we're talking about here today, but I think for the record, would be interesting to find out why 2.5 versus any other percent. What was the rationale? Studies done, that sort of thing.
It has been our practice, to the extent that we have provided raises to executives over the course of the last several years, to make sure the Chancellor's raise is commensurate with theirs, that there's parity with the other executives. We could make differentiations based on what we perceive to be, in my view, extraordinary service. But the Chancellor has always been modest in his demands of us, and this seems only fair that he get at least what the other executives are receiving. So. Any other questions? Adam.
Wait, is this chair of faculty and personnel?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not a member of this committee, but I'd like to just share a few comments. I would, if I were a member, I would support this motion, as I'll explain in a moment. But I'd like to thank all the speakers that we've heard today, as well as yesterday. And as chair of the collective bargaining committee, I'd just like to publicly say that I personally, and I know all of the members of the collective bargaining committee, and I can assure you all of the members of this board do hear you. We place the highest value on and fully appreciate the hard work and dedication of all of our employees, both represented and non-represented. And we want to thank you for that service. But just as we were reminded yesterday with our budget report, we are going to continue to have a serious budget situation, as we have had for the last number of years, where our costs continue to increase and our revenues essentially remain flat. But yet, despite those budgetary constraints, I see in the last 3 years that we've been able to struggle and find, raises for our faculty of over 14.5% and our staff at roughly 12%. And in that same period of time, I note that our members of our MPP class have received raises of only 9.5% over the same period. So it's never enough. It's not enough for the work that you do. But I do think it demonstrates, and the data proves that we do hear you, and that management and our presidents and our executives are leading by example, and I appreciate them for doing that as well. But again, you have my personal assurance that we are listening to all of our employees, and we will continue to try to work very hard to compensate you at the level that you deserve.
Any other questions or comments? Chair Morales, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Chair Eisen, and I'll turn the matter over to Chancellor White.
Should we separate motions for Chancellor White versus the other executives, or a single motion?
Legal counsel, what?
Okay. Well, in that case, I would like to have a motion to accept my recommendation to award Chancellor White a 2.5% increase.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? My motion passes.
Okay, Chancellor White.
Thank you, Trustee Morales. Today I am making recommendations for board approval of compensation for system executives, including the presidents, executive vice chancellors, and vice chancellors. I know that you share my belief that attracting, recruiting, and retaining quality leadership for the CSU is of significant importance to us. The leadership of our campuses and executive office is critical to the overall success of our students and the university. I am recommending an increase of 2.5%, which reflects similar increases authorized for other non-represented management and staff personnel. And with respect to Vice Chancellor Bard, today's recommendation reflects a technical adjustment of 0.5%, inasmuch as her base salary was adjusted 2% at the time of her appointment in late June. It is also necessary to continue to be mindful of our competitiveness as a university in attracting and retaining top and high-performing leaders. You will see in the information provided before you that an equity adjustment is recommended for President Karen Haynes. While a case can be made for equity adjustments for others, I believe that hers is the most egregiously out of whack, if you will. I base this recommendation on the transformation of Cal State San Marcos under her leadership and its movement into the next tier of campus peers. Karen also had a highly successful 6-year review, is a long and well-serving president in the CSU, and is the lowest paid in both percentage and dollar of her respective national peer group and CSU peer group. This item also recommends that the supplemental pay of 4 presidents, President Harrison, Morales, Wong, and Armstrong, be rolled into their base pay beginning on January 1, 2018. In each case, the supplemental pay was approved by the trustees at the time they were appointed president. This action supports the board's compensation policy that eliminated the use of foundation dollars to pay for a president's salary. Additionally, this policy will be further clarified today when it is updated to state that a president's salary can only be funded with state funds. Trustee Morales, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Chancellor White. As Vice Chair of the Committee on Audit, I come before this committee to recommend a compensation increase for the Vice Chancellor and Chief Audit Officer. Consistent with what is being proposed to other university executives, I recommend a 2.5% salary increase for Larry Mandel. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the Audit Committee? Okay. I will now move to our next order of business. Oh, we need to vote on
I think
that?
you should
Okay.
have a
We
motion,
have a
and to
motion
be
on
consistent,
that?
you should do a separate one for the Chancellor and the President's, and then one for Larry's, just since you did the first one separately as well.
Okay, so could we have a motion from a
So
member of our
moved.
committee? Okay, so which one are you moving?
The president's compensation
Okay,
and vice chancellor's.
okay. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. And the second motion would be for Larry. Okay, anybody move?
So
for
moved.
Second. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then the third, that's it? Okay. Okay, so that is it. So, Chair Eisen, that concludes the business of the committee. Oh, no? We have one more?
Another item.
Okay. Okay, the compensation for executives is an action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel. Only committee members may vote on that at this time. Is there a motion? Oh, item 3. Oh, okay, that's right. So on agenda item 3 is an action item for the policy on compensation. Vice Chancellor Bard will present the item.
Thank you, Chair Morales. In November of 2015, the trustees updated the presidential compensation policy to remove the use of foundation dollars. While this has been the university's practice for some time now, the California State Auditor has recommended our policy be updated to expressly prohibit the use of foundation funds to compensate our presidents. As noted in the material before you, language has been added to clarify that a president's salary can only be funded with state funds. This is the only change to that policy. Trustee Morales, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, agenda item 3, the policy on compensation is an action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel. Only committee members may vote at this time. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, moved in second. Discussion? All those please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Chair Eisen, that concludes the business of the committee.
Thank you, Trustee Morales. That concludes our committee work. We will now turn to our plenary